Picture this. It's 2001 in Galesburg, Illinois. A Maytag factory that's been running for 57 years is shutting down. 1,600 American workers are losing their jobs. Why? The company is moving to Mexico, then South Korea, chasing cheaper labor. Meanwhile, halfway across the world in Bangalore, India, thousands of young professionals are starting their shifts. They're answering customer service calls, processing insurance claims, and fixing tech problems for American companies. These are jobs that used to exist in Phoenix, Dallas, and Detroit. Here's something that might surprise you. There was a time when outsourcing didn't exist. Not that long ago, if you bought something in America, it was probably made in America. Your clothes, your car, your TV, all made by workers who lived in your community or at least your country. Today, we're diving into one of the most controversial topics in our global economy, outsourcing. How did we go from made in the USA to made in, well, everywhere else? What happened to all those jobs? And who's really winning and losing in this global game of musical chairs? We'll explore how outsourcing went from being impossible to inevitable, why companies do it, who benefits and who suffers, and what it all means for workers like you and me. This isn't just about economics, it's about real people whose lives have been completely transformed. Let me take you back to a different time. In the 1950s and 60s, the idea of outsourcing work to another country was, well, it wasn't even an idea, it was practically impossible. Think about it. No internet, no email. International phone calls cost a fortune. If you wanted to manufacture something, you pretty much had to do it where you were. American companies made American products in American factories. It was that simple. But then everything changed. The real turning point came in 1989. That's when Eastman Kodak, yes, the camera company, did something that shocked the business world. Kodak outsourced its entire IT department to IBM. We're talking about hundreds of employees who suddenly worked for a different company. This wasn't a failing business trying to survive. Kodak was profitable. They just decided it made more sense to let someone else handle their computers. This created what experts call the Kodak Effect. Suddenly, outsourcing wasn't just acceptable, it was smart business. Other big companies started thinking, if Kodak can do it, why can't we? The internet changed everything. By the late 1990s, you could send an email to India as easily as to Indiana. A designer in Detroit could work with a programmer in Delhi. Geography didn't matter anymore. So why do companies outsource? The simple answer is money. When you can pay someone $2 an hour in Vietnam instead of $25 in the United States, the math seems pretty obvious. But it's not just about wages. Companies look at the total cost, including fewer regulations and red tape, lower taxes in some countries, cheaper real estate and utilities, access to new markets, sometimes better access to raw materials. At first, companies only outsourced simple manufacturing jobs, making clothes, toys, basic electronics. Then came IT outsourcing. Remember when every company started having customer service lines answered in India? That began in the late 1990s. Today, almost anything can be outsourced. Your tax return might be prepared in India. Your x-rays might be read by a doctor in Australia. Your company's HR department might be in the Philippines. Even your fast food order at the drive-thru might be taken by someone in another state. The pandemic pushed this even further. When everyone started working from home, companies realized if someone can work from their house in New York, why not from their house in Nicaragua, where it's cheaper? But let's talk about what this means for real people. Since 2000, America has lost about 5 million manufacturing jobs. Not all of them went overseas, but economists say about 25 to 40% did. Take the story of Linda from Ohio. She worked at an auto parts factory for 23 years, making $22 an hour with benefits. When her plant moved to Mexico, the best job she could find paid $11 an hour at Walmart. No pension, limited health care. When factories close, it's not just about jobs. Entire communities fall apart. Local businesses lose customers and close down. House prices crash. Schools lose funding as families move away. Drug problems and depression rates go up. The government tried to help with retraining programs. Learn to code, they said. But imagine being 50 years old, working with your hands all your life, and suddenly you're supposed to become a computer programmer? It doesn't work for everyone. Is it any wonder that these communities feel angry and forgotten? This anger has reshaped American politics. When politicians promise to bring jobs back, these are the voters they're talking to. Now let's talk specifically about IT outsourcing, because this changed everything. In the 1990s, there was this thing called Y2K. Everyone was worried computers would crash when the year 2000 hit. Companies needed tons of programmers to fix old code. Enter India. They had thousands of English-speaking engineers who could do the work for a fraction of the cost. After Y2K, companies thought, why stop there? Soon, India wasn't just fixing bugs. They were building entire systems, running call centers, and managing databases. Today, IT outsourcing is massive. It's worth over $92 billion globally. The US accounts for about 84% of the market. India gets about 55% of all IT outsourcing deals. But now countries like Poland, Philippines, and Ukraine are growing fast. Here's the real game changer. The pandemic proved that IT work can be done from anywhere. Before COVID, only about 6% of US workers were fully remote. During the pandemic, that jumped to 35%. Now companies are asking, if our programmers can work from their apartments in San Francisco, why not apartments in Sao Paulo for half the price? But here's the twist. AI is now threatening these outsourced jobs too. Those call center jobs in India, AI chatbots are starting to replace them. It's like outsourcing is eating itself. But let's look at the other side. In countries like China, India, and Vietnam, outsourcing has been transformative. Shenzhen in China went from a fishing village to a city of 13 million people in just 40 years. All because of manufacturing. The numbers are staggering. 800 million people lifted out of extreme poverty. Entire new middle classes created. Women entering the workforce in record numbers. Kids going to school instead of working in fields. But it's not all success stories. Many factory workers face 12-hour days, 6 days a week, wages that barely cover basic needs, dangerous working conditions, no unions or worker protections. Remember the Rana Plaza collapse in Bangladesh in 2013? Over 1,100 garment workers died when their factory building collapsed. They were making clothes for brands we all wear. The workers had actually reported cracks in the building, but were forced to work anyway. But workers are fighting back. In 2023 alone, China had over 1,700 labor strikes. Bangladesh garment workers won major wage increases. The era of silent, cheap labor is ending. Here's where things get really interesting. Robots and AI are changing the whole game. A robot in Detroit costs about the same as a robot in Shenzhen. Suddenly, cheap labor isn't the advantage it used to be. American companies are starting to bring jobs back. In 2010, only 11,000 jobs returned to the US. By 2022, that number was 300,000. In just the first half of 2023, another 180,000 jobs came back. COVID showed us the risks of depending on faraway factories. When China shut down, American store shelves went empty. Car companies couldn't get computer chips. Hospitals couldn't get medical supplies. Suddenly, having everything made overseas didn't seem so smart. So what's next? Here are the big trends. Nearshoring, moving production to Mexico instead of Asia. Friendshoring, only working with allied countries. More automation everywhere. Hybrid models, some work here, some there. So what can we do about all this? It's not as simple as just saying, buy American or bring all jobs back. The global economy is too connected for that. Some companies are trying to do better. Patagonia pays workers double the minimum wage. Some tech companies are keeping more jobs local. B corporations balance profit with social good. Governments are getting involved too. The CHIPS Act is bringing semiconductor manufacturing back to America. Europe is requiring companies to monitor their supply chains. Some countries are experimenting with universal basic income. And yes, we consumers have power. Fair trade products are growing 30% every year. Apps can now tell you where products really come from. Boycotts and social media campaigns can force change. There are success stories. Germany still has strong manufacturing with good wages. Denmark found ways to be flexible but protect workers. Costa Rica built a high-tech economy without exploiting workers. Outsourcing isn't going away, but it is changing. The old model of chasing the cheapest labor around the world is breaking down. Technology, politics, and even climate change are reshaping how we make and buy things. The truth is, outsourcing has both helped and hurt millions of people. It's lifted many out of poverty but devastated communities. It's made products cheaper but sometimes at a terrible human cost. The question isn't whether we should have a global economy. We already do. The question is, what kind of global economy do we want? One that races to the bottom on wages and conditions, or one that lifts everyone up? As consumers, voters, and workers, we all have a say in this. Every purchase, every vote, every job choice shapes our global economy. The future of work isn't just happening to us, we're creating it together. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, please like and subscribe. And let me know in the comments, has outsourcing affected your job or community? What do you think we should do about it? Let's keep this important conversation going.